Hey, it's Marissa from Book Studio 16, and we have a very special treat today. It's the Library Love Fest Team Live, special edition of Under the Radar, Over the Moon. Let me introduce the team: Virginia, Amanda,
hi everyone,
and Chris. All right, guys, take it away.
Okay, hello all the thousands of people out there who are listening. How are you all? So once a month we talk about books that are new or mid-list, so we call that Under the Radar, Over the Moon, and you should check in on Library Love Fest to find out when we do these, and you can look at past ones, but this is a special episode of Under the Radar, Over the Moon. It's like a special episode of The Facts of Life, or a special episode of The Waltons.
And you can ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions, make them easy. So we're going to talk about books that are new. We're going to talk about books that have authors who have some backlist, and we're going to talk about some debuts. So we're kind of all over the place, but we just thought, why not? Because it's live, and who's going to stop us? Okay, so first thing we want to do is talk about Laura Lippman, who we adore, and you do too, and you know her Tess Monahan series, and you know her standalone series, and she has a new book coming out, which unfortunately I can't show you the cover. I can only show you the back. I'm not allowed to show you the cover first because it's not final, but oh my God, it's so amazing. Look.
It's gorgeous.
Wow. Too bad you can't see it, but it's amazing, and it's called Sunburn, and it's a little bit of a departure for her. It does take place in Baltimore, but also on like the beaches nearby, and it's very noir, and she sort of does this tribute to James Cain, so it's sort of like Double Indemnity and all that sort of, very sort of mysterious plot. So, and it's a standalone. So it's psychological suspense. It's a pair of lovers. This woman is on vacation with her husband and kid, and she says, I'm going to go make you lunch, and she leaves, and she never comes back. But she meets this guy in a bar, and it becomes this like very twisted, like Postman Always Rings Twice kind of a very sort of suspenseful and noirish kind of a feel to it. So it's very different for her. In the book, there are drinks, because a lot of this takes place in a bar. So we've taken liberty with one of the drinks, and so we're going to make it for you now. We've already added in, it's a pink lady. So we've already put in the ingredients, the Applejack, the grenadine, the egg white. We've been very busy here. And now we're just going to add in the most fun part, the gin. Mandy Lou, would you help me?
Okay.
This is where we do The Girl from Ipanema. That's probably enough.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's enough.
I don't know.
Okay.
Really?
No, that's enough.
You want to shake it?
I don't know if I trust myself. Let's see.
You do it.
Okay.
Victoria Sanders says hello.
Hello.
People are starting to watch.
Heyo. So, pink lady.
Here we go.
Here she comes. Chris, give me a glass.
I'm scared. Here we go.
It's pink.
It is pink.
And we are ladies. Present company accepted.
Mostly.
And this is a toast. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Penguin is almost done.
And
here.
Mr. Penguin is almost done. So we wish you all a happy weekend. And here's to Laura Lippman's book, Sunburn, which will be coming out soon-ish. I'll give you the date in a second. But here, cheers. Cheers, 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 cheers. Cheers. Here's to not getting a sunburn. Lots of sunscreen. Yike!
Delicious.
And
That is
now,
really good.
I'll get a razor for the hair on my chest that drink's going to put up. Oh, can't show this girl. Okay. The book's coming out in February 2018. Okay, we can't wait. So anyway, that is Sunburn by Laura Lippman. Who wants to go next?
I'll wrap up.
No, you say first. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so
The Library Love Fest Indecisive Team.
it's terrifying. I just want to talk about my bubble machine that I have here, my Tiki bubble machine.
Hey-oh.
It makes... Those are real bubbles. That's not... Okay, that's... Turn off now. Turn off, please. It refuses to... There we go. Okay. That's all I have for today, so I'm going to
Thanks so much for tuning in.
So, first book I want to talk about is The 12 Mile Strait by Eleanor Henderson. She's an incredible author. She wrote 10,000 Saints. That was her previous book, which I have the jacket of. 10,000 Saints. It was critically acclaimed, New York Times bestseller, all kinds of stuff going on with that. And this is a very ambitious but very human kind of historical epic It takes place in 1930 in Georgia. And it starts with this really horrific scene, honestly, where this young black man is accused of impregnating this sharecropper's daughter. The daughter gives birth to twins, one black, one white, and there's a mystery surrounding their actual parentage, but of course people are quick to jump and accuse this young man, and so he's lynched and he's murdered by these residents and dragged along the 12 Mile Strait. So that's, I know, a horrifying initial scene to deal with. But it's really an inspection of this family, the sharecropper, his daughter, one of the helpers who is a young black woman who can't speak. She had her tongue cut out at a young age to prevent this family illness. And they all have so many secrets that they're keeping from themselves and each other. And the story unwinds and you discover more about this family and the truth of these two children's parentage. It's really immersive. Like, you really feel like you're there in Georgia, these sharecroppers, these people just trying to get by. But it's really, again, these secrets and the relationships within this family as you navigate this really perilous, landscape and timeline of what happened to this young man and why. It just is so good, and she's a brilliant author. She was at Day of Dialogue this year, Library Journal Day of Dialogue, and she spoke, and she was incredible and super cool at the same time. So this goes on sale soon. It's September. So if you have it in your hands, I've been sending them out. Let me know, and I'll send you a copy. And if you're a super fast reader, Library Reads, it's one of our top picks for September releases. So you just have to vote by the 20th of this month. No pressure. I just hope you read it. So that's 12 Mile Strait by Eleanor Henderson.
All right, people are starting to tune in.
Good.
Ask questions, everyone.
Yes. If you want specific recommendations, we always love giving those. So I know.
What are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about one that's going to completely change the tone of everything that we've been talking about, but I love it, so I'm just going to do it anyway. This is Talon of God by Wesley Snipes and Ray Norman. I am sort of the fantasy sci-fi guru of the department, and so when I heard about this one, I was so excited. Yes, you know Wesley Snipes. This is that Wesley Snipes, and it really does read just like a Blade novel in your head. It is set in Chicago about this doctor who's, very facts and, doesn't really believe in anything outside of that. And then it also, this holy warrior shows up, and he sort of brings her into this giant war, good and evil, angels and demons, that kind of thing. So really an awesome read. It goes on sale in July, so you're not going to have to wait before being able to dive right in. A lot of fun. It's got the grit and the action, everything that you are accustomed to with Wesley Snipes. So definitely check that out. And on to the next one.
I'll go. So we just came back from the American Library Association, which was held in Chicago. It was ginormous. There were over 22,000 librarians alone that attended this thing. So we were crazy busy the whole entire time. We had 17 authors at the show. And one of the authors who we had there was Stephanie Powell Watts, who wrote No One Is Coming to Save Us, which is a debut novel that came out in April. And it was the Sarah Jessica Parker book club pick. So there's this, it's a site that is co-sponsored with the American Library Association, and Sarah Jessica Parker has endeavored to begin this book club, and we were thrilled to find out that Stephanie Powell Watts' book was the inaugural pick for the book club, and rightfully so. Everybody submitted titles. We were so thrilled that this one was picked. It hits all the right spots. As I said, it's a debut novel, and it is set in North Carolina, and it's about the haves and the have-nots, and it's about a man who lived there and left family and friends, went away. They didn't have any money. He made his money, came back, and he comes back to win the woman over who he loved. But she's no longer available, or so you think. And so it's not just a romance. If it were, it would not have been picked. It hits all of these social marks, and it talks about being born into, having luck, making your fortune, trying as hard as you can but still not getting it, looking at the people up on the hill where they have everything and you have nothing. It's so good. It just talks about so many sweet spots. It's heartbreaking. There are moments where it's very tender and funny, and it thrilled us, but when I thought about it, I thought, this makes sense that this book was picked, because it really does speak to so many people, and I feel like I feel like it has such a wide readership. It is not for men. It is not solely for women. It's so wide. It speaks to so many different, just to so many different readers, and I just loved it. I love this book so much, and man, the author couldn't have been lovelier. Couldn't have been more gracious and grateful. There were 2,200 people who attended this event, and it was just so great. So check out this book. No One is Coming to Save Us with the SJP seal. And go to bookclubcentral.org and you'll find out more information about it, all on ALA book list. They're all together, and it's fabulous. So do it. Okay, who's next?
I'll go. And no questions right now, right? Ask us questions, anything you like.
Right, we have over 100 people watching.
Hello.
What?
Hi,
And
everyone.
some people want to know, what books should they take on vacation with them?
Oh,
I can answer that.
question.
All right.
I'm going. I'm going on this one. Do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? You know, my two big faves. Hey-oh, 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 hey-oh. Yes!
Ooh.
A shawing, a ding-a-ding, a ding-a-ding. Okay, so here are two books that I think everybody now is in love with. This book is coming out, so, in all fairness, you can't get this book until January.
You can't actually go on vacation with it.
But it is available on Edelweiss, and it is called The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This is a debut psychological thriller that you are going to hear so much about. It's fantastic. It is. We've been talking about this book for forever, but it does come out in January. It is about a woman who has suffered some sort of trauma, psychological trauma, and so she is become an agoraphobe. She can't leave her home. She's in this apartment in Upper New York City, and she spends her day drinking wine, watching movies, talking to her estranged husband and kid, and looking out the window and watching life pass her by. And this family moves in across the street, and she watches them, and she sees something, but she's so kind of screwed up after a while that she's not really quite sure if she can trust herself. And now you're not sure if you can trust her. You don't know if you can trust yourself reading this thing. And it's so good, and it's so twisty, and I could spend the whole time talking about this thing, and I still won't do it justice. But I promise you, you're going to love this book. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, now on Edelweiss.
Yeah, this is one that our department has seriously fallen in love with. Like, all three of us, and like everybody across HarperCollins really loves this book. It's very much The Girl on the Train, where, you know, that super unreliable narrator who believes she has seen something, but does she? Everyone tells her she doesn't. So yeah, you'll just have to read to find out.
Yeah, we sent this to a lot of librarians, and near universal. What?
Oh, go ahead.
Special guest,
Huh?
What is it?
What?
Karen Slaughter.
What?
Karen Slaughter is saying, hey, gang.
Hi.
Love the libraries, and I love, all in capitals, the library sales team at HarperCollins.
Hey-oh!
Oh,
Thank
wait.
you.
Karen.
Funny, you should mention her.
The Good Daughter, and I also brought my tattered copy of Pretty Girls because I tore through it and
Yes.
with reckless abandon. This was, Karen, actually the first book of yours I had read, and incredible. My heart is racing just talking about it, actually.
Yes, that one is amazing.
Yeah.
Not exactly a lullaby.
Depends what kind of person you are. But I loved it. And so this is Karen's new standalone, The Good Daughter. Previously, she had written The Kept Woman, which was part of the Will Trent series. So this is her next standalone since Pretty Girls. And it keeps the pace up. She just continually one-upping the pace and the thrills. And this takes place in Georgia, of course. That's...
Noonan.
Yes. And it follows this family, specifically these two sisters who suffered this horrific tragedy while they were young, and their lives from there veer off in very different directions. One's a very high-powered lawyer in New York. The other is still working with her dad, who's this criminal defense attorney down in Georgia. And again, they don't talk. This horrific event just split them off entirely. But something happens. There's this tragic school shooting that one of the daughters in Georgia witnesses, and it pulls back this horrific accident that happened, 30 plus years in the past, and draws these sisters together, because not everything with this school shooting is as it seems, and not everything with this tragic, incident from their childhood is as it seems. So there's twists and turns, but this relationship between these two sisters is incredible. It's just so well written, so real, and the dynamics at play are just, there's such depth to her characters. And it's already received tons of rave reviews. I believe LJ starred review. Yeah, it's incredible. As Gillian Flynn says, I'd follow her anywhere. We'd follow you anywhere, Karen, if you're still watching. So thank you for this. So this goes on sale really soon. It's August, so you don't have much longer to wait. And for me, beach read.
Absolutely.
Pretty girls, beach read.
Question?
Karen Slaughter says thank you. And we have people watching from Malaysia and from the Philippines.
Wow.
And Rosemary Pastillo says, enjoying this so much. And Lynn Constantine says, love Karen's books. That one sounds amazing. So what other amazing things do you have for us?
Interesting. Liv Constantine. Could that be the author of the second most amazing book on this list? Hey-oh!
Love it.
Right? Now, even Marissa Benedetto, whose voice you are hearing, told me this morning, oh my God, that book is so good.
I did say that.
She did say that. It's so good. So, this is The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is another debut novel. And it is out in October. I don't know why I didn't know that, because I've been talking about this book since the 5th grade. That's not true, because it wasn't written when I was in the 5th grade. But I know so much about this book because I love. Again, departmental fave. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes, delicious naughty candy.
Delicious Naughty Candy. We're at the American Library Association doing a presentation, and I talk about this book, and Chris says it's delicious naughty candy, which just sounded so pervy. Whatever. Anyway, it's so good. It's about this woman who has nothing, and she's tired of having nothing. She just feels like, I got my due coming. And she reads about this couple, this like golden couple who lives in Connecticut, and they have these 2 kids, and they have all this money, and they have this beautiful home, and everything is perfect, and you know they've got tons of money, and he's a philanthropist and a real estate mogul, and they got it all, and she wants it. So she figures out the sneakiest way to worm her way into their lives, and she starts with their last name is Parrish, so she starts with Mrs. Parrish, and it's so smart, it's so good the way she does it. And I'm not going to tell you how she does it, it's so good. Right, Marissa? Isn't it good?
It is naughty candy.
But it's so good, and she's just so evil, and she's so funny too, because like she has these asides in her mind, in her head. You hear her talking about how she really feels about their kids, because she really she doesn't care about these kids at all, but she fawns over them, and she just works these 2 because she wants to be the next and the last Mrs. Parrish. And that's all I'm going to say, because it's really twisty, and it goes dark, and it's really good.
I say this one I really enjoyed because it has like this moment in the middle where it just completely, you find something out and it just switches everything that you thought that you were reading. Very similar to Gone Girl, where like in the middle you find out things happen. But yes, very similar to Gone Girl in that aspect. And I just loved how deep you got into these, like the con woman and the family who she's trying to get into.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on behind the scenes for all 3 of them that it is just amazing.
Nothing is as it seems. It's so good. I really hope there are no other authors who are watching, because we better have their books here. But anyway, that was so not planted. So I'm really glad that we had your book here. But there's no way we wouldn't, because it's so good. Bye.
Stella's watching from Serbia.
From where?
Serbia.
Hi. Thank you.
And Jean Marie wants to know, what's a good book to read under the influence?
Let me think about that.
That's touchy.
Yeah.
Jean Marie, maybe we should really address your question. Okay. I don't know.
What's a good
God.
one?
Well, whilst drinking. Well, gosh.
There's a lot of wine and Woman in the Window.
I was going to say, we used up that one.
Yeah.
I think romantic suspense is always a good thing to dive into with a glass of wine or something else to enjoy. And we have Linda Howard is the queen of romantic suspense. Troublemaker came out. It's already on sale, so you can dive in. She's got a whole ton of books, but this one is the first one that I read by her, and it is so good. It is about this military man who is injured, and he has to go hide out in this small town, and he gets involved with the police chief there. And she is just so good at great, like starting that slow burn about these two characters who have this chemistry, but they don't want to, do anything about it. They've got their own things going on, but then you just know something's going to happen. And of course, because we are the library department, I got to tell you about the book that's coming out next year in March. This is The Woman Left Behind, which tells the story of another, he's this special ops team leader and their communication expert who, sits in his little earpiece and talks them through all of these things. Her home base gets attacked and she has to go on the run, and so he will do anything to help her and find her. So you know her, you love her, I know her and I love her. This is romantic suspense, great with a glass of wine.
Or a pink lady.
There you go.
Speaking of. Hey. Okay, you go.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. One I really, really, really want to talk about now is the new Louise Erdrich, Future Home of the Living God. Kind of a big deal. So obviously she's an incredible author. Last one was La Rose. This is the trade paperback. Really, really cool. Her daughter designs all her jackets, so they're always super unique. And she's a beautiful author. Now, I said this is a departure. This was kind of part of a loosely tied trilogy following members of this various family through different generations, members of this Ojibwe tribe. And this one is a dystopian novel. And if you're thinking, what, Louise Erdrich dystopian novel? Well, she figured this year would be the appropriate time to release this novel. Wonder why. And it's brilliant. I mean, it has a lot of the same themes that make her work so powerful. It follows this young woman. Basically humanity seems to be devolving. Babies that are born have kind of ape-like traits. Nature itself, there's prehistoric animals that suddenly are popping up. Everything is just moving in this very strange direction, and no one knows how to deal with it. And they panic. And when the entire world panics, bad things happen. So this young woman finds out she's pregnant. She's brilliant and thoughtful. She's a religious person, but she's very observant and questioning. And she was adopted by this, wonderful little white couple, and they're not villains in this book. They're just a wonderful couple who gave this young woman a home, but she wants to know about her origins. So she looks into it. She knows she has Native American heritage, and she takes a road trip to discover her parentage. And her parents are actually from the Ojibwe tribe, as seen in her previous novels. But again, in the midst of this, the world is descending into chaos. They're rounding up pregnant mothers, and she is determined to get this baby to term. And so it deals with, faith and science and what's the point in living when there's, all these horrible things surrounding you. And it's so empowering and human. And she, again, this narrator, you'll never want to let her go. It's a brilliant novel, and that's not shocking, but it just needs to especially be stressed because it is a bit of a departure, but it's going to, again, another thing that people responded oddly to when I presented this at ALA was it gave me the tinglies. But like the good tinglies, like when you watch a really great movie trailer or something, it gives you those tingles down your spine, and that's what this does. It just really sticks with you. So that's Future Home of the Living God. This goes on sale in November, and I love it. So keep your eyes peeled.
I got the tinglies now too, but I think it's the pink lady.
Okay, because this is Free for All Friday,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what your team does.
Oh. When we're not having drinks in a tiki hut, we are promoting our books to librarians through various ways, through social media, through conferences, which as I mentioned, we just came back from, and advertising. And we take advantage of this wonderful video studio to bring our new and mid-list authors to you. So we just go on the road. We go on the road. We do title presentations all over the place because we feel like that's like the best way to, it's just kind of like bring our own take to stuff. So in a nutshell, we're just promoting our forthcoming list, which is kind of what we're doing now, but talking about books that also have backlists so you could go to the store this weekend and buy something or whatever. But that's pretty much what we do. What else do we do?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can find pretty much everything. A lot of the stuff that we do is on our website. You can go to librarylovefest.com. That's our blog, and we'll talk about, upcoming books, and we'll post, guest posts from authors and all kinds of fun stuff on there.
Genre bending.
Yeah, so we also have our Under the Radar series, which has about almost 15 episodes at this point, where we talk about new and midlist authors. That has its own separate page that you can get to from Library Love Fest. And then another special thing that we just started is the genre binging project, that highlights a lot of the good genre fiction that comes out from HarperCollins. So I have interviewed a romance author, a sci-fi author, a horror author, all of these different authors to really highlight some of the awesome stuff that's coming out and hopefully get everybody to give it a try.
Wesley Snipes, if you're watching, we want you in the studio.
And you're friends with librarians all over the country.
Yes, we love them. We went to BEA, where lots and lots of librarians were in attendance, Book Expo, I mean. And we send authors out on the road. We send authors to libraries. We send them to library conferences. We send them to library foundations and fundraisers and all that stuff. So, yeah, we love, love, love our librarians. They are the smarty pants people of the world.
And how did you guys get into library marketing?
So Virginia basically started library marketing, so
29 years ago, literally 29 years ago, I started working here. And I, we work for, our department is called Academic and Library Marketing, but we're really very separate. We do separate things. We have separate audiences, separate marketplaces. And so, we just decided that instead of, let's focus on one market or the other market. So half the department does academic and we do library, and it started out real small. It was really only 4 of us all together for the whole department, and so we just decided the company saw what an important marketplace this was. They always knew, but they poured more resources into it. We grew our department, and we went from standing in a 10-by-10 booth at a conference rolling posters to having this ginormous presence at national library conferences and bringing a ton of authors and just taking advantage of every opportunity. So I kind of fell into it, and I think that there aren't any coincidences, and I was meant to do it.
Did you say you worked here for 29 years?
I did.
So when is the 30th anniversary?
March.
So we're going to have a big party?
Hey-o.
All right. And how did you guys end up working with Virginia?
So if you cut it earlier, I grew up in Georgia, but I always kind of knew that I wanted to do publishing. So I went to the Summer Publishing Institute at NYU, and that really, exposed me to a lot of different aspects of publishing that I probably never would have known about. And at the end of that program, I heard about this job in library marketing, and it was really kind of another, sort of fate thing where I have always said that if I didn't make it in publishing, I was going to go back to school and become a librarian. So I was like, this is perfect. So I applied and moved up here, and here I am.
Here you are in a tiki hut drinking at 10 in the morning.
Who would have thought?
What about you, Chris?
So I was an English major. I think that's pretty common amongst
All 3
publishing
of us.
people. Yeah. But I graduated and was a little more wayward than I think Amanda, for sure. So I ended up working in a call center, honestly, and it was, that's a job people need to do, but I didn't do much for me, honestly, and I my passion and what really kept me going was going back and reading and writing, and I started researching it more, the industry, and I thought it was a really interesting time. When I really started looking at it, it was still when ebooks were changing the landscape potentially, and there was all these various trends that were really changing the industry. So I decided to give it a shot and moved to New York, and didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but I moved here, and it took me about a year, and I met some really interesting people and had some interviews that were incredible, but I just didn't get the job initially. But then I found out they accept old interns, and I was like a 26-year-old intern 2 summers ago, and worked my butt off and went great and learned a ton, and this job opened up, and I've always been a library goer, so it was a great fit, and I love talking about books. I think that's really kind of the prerequisite for this job is you kind of have to care about books, and I do.
Care about books?
Yeah, you have to not hate books, and
If you don't hate books, you got the job.
I didn't. I admitted I did not hate books.
In the interview, I said to Chris, "What's the wackiest thing you've ever done?" Because we have to do wacky stuff. And what did you tell me?
I ran around campus howling like a wolf and pretending to be a werewolf with my werewolf clan.
I said, "You're hired."
Actually, it's a pack. Werewolves don't run in clans. They're packs. So, and that was it.
That's what did it.
Yes. So.
All right, Virginia, take us out. Maybe one final book that you want everybody to pay attention to.
All right. Let's see. How we doing on, let's see. Hang on. Hang
We
on.
still have over 100 people watching.
Really? Do they
Yeah.
want to leave? Do they want us to stay? What do they want us to do?
Well, we always want you to stay. So, Harper Academic says that they love you. Nikki wants to know who the person in the middle is. That would be Virginia.
Who's Nikki?
Nikki Robinson.
Well, Nikki, let's talk later. All right, here. Can you hold this for a second?
Oh wow, that's
It's a mock-up, but I can show it. So this is so exciting. We have this book, Wonder Woman. Yes, complete with. Here, Chris, you can put that on your head.
yes. I was hoping you'd ask. Okay.
We're very excited about this. Harper Design has this fabulous Wonder Woman tie-in book, and we are really psyched about it. And all three of us just saw this movie this weekend, and so that's kind of a cool thing. And I think if anybody hasn't seen this movie, you kind of need to, because it's really wonderful. And you want to show the interiors of that because they're pretty cool. The jacket's not final, but it's the one that's in the catalog. It's close. I'm telling you what. This is by Signe Bergstrom, the book, and talks about the history of Wonder Woman and how and why she became such an important icon from her beginnings in DC Comics to the TV show with Linda Carter to the animated TV show to the latest Wonder Woman movie with Gal Gadot. We couldn't figure out how to say Gadot.
She's great.
Godot is how it is pronounced. Gal Gadot. So lots of imagery and text about the upcoming Justice League film that's premiering in November 2017, which is of which Wonder Woman is a part. So, I mean, if we're going to end, I think that's kind of a cool way to end because then everybody should go to the movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to do one last quick round or should we stop?
One last quick round, and Victoria says, sing a ditty.
Sing a ditty. Mele Kaliki Maka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day in Hawaii. There, I'll do anything she tells me to do.
That was for you, Victoria.
Can I just read one thing really quick? Because I don't know that I gave Laura Littman Sunburn its due. So can I just read the first three sentences?
Absolutely.
Okay. June 11th, 1995, Belleville, Delaware. It's the sunburned shoulders that get him. Pink, peeling. The burn is 2 days old, he gauges. Earned on Friday, painful to the touch yesterday. Today, an itchy soreness that's hard not to keep fingering, probing, as she's doing right now, in an absent-minded way. The skin has started sloughing off. Soon those narrow shoulders won't be so tender. Why would a redhead well into her 30s make such a rookie mistake? Ah! That's so Postman always rings twice kind of. Bleh. Okay, anyway, that was mine. Go.
Yeah. So I On Child Out, Jillian McMillan, author of What She Knew and The Perfect Girl, which I know you really loved. She's incredible. This is the first one I read by her, so I'm extra like starry-eyed. It follows like 5 different characters, but basically it's these two young friends in Bristol, and one is a young white child. He's sickly. He's been sickly his whole life. The other is a Somali refugee. But they're both super smart, go to this prestigious school. But one morning, the young sickly child is found washed up in this Bristol canal, and his friend refuses to speak, and it ignites all these kind of immigrant unrest, and the families have all these secrets of their own that they have to confront, while again kind of wading through all this tumultuous immigrant hate, essentially. So it's really timely, and the characters are just they're so well written. They're all so unique, and she's just an incredible author. So that's Odd Child Out. It goes on sale October, and if you haven't read What She Knew or The Perfect Girl, those are on sale now. Also good beach reads. So yeah.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. Okay, one that I cannot not talk about
Oh,
while
yeah,
we're
yeah.
here is
Oh, good.
this is a fake thing. This is The Child Finder by Renee Denfeld, and this is another one that we all are really excited about. It is the lead read for the fall, which basically means that the HarperCollins sales force really loves it and wants everybody to read it. So do it. It comes out in September, but it is the story of a woman who is known, who has this kind of uncanny ability to find missing children, and she roams the country finding missing children. And so this is the story of one case where this young girl has gone missing in the woods in Oregon. And so you get her story and you get the kid's story, and it is just beautifully, beautifully written, very sort of mystical and magical and fantastical in this snow-covered land, and how this child is surviving what is happening to her. If you want to get a taste, so like I said, this is coming out in September. If you want to get a taste, she has The Enchanted, which is on sale now. It's out in paperback, which will give you a taste of her writing. It is set in a prison about this another investigator who is really good at finding little secrets that help these men get off death row. And it also follows one of the inmates who survives, living here by imagining the prison as a totally different place, an enchanted place. So definitely check these two out. Renee Denfeld is amazing.
So good. So good. Again, Departmental Love. It's a fabulous book. Can I do one more lightning round?
Absolutely. And Kathy Salmon says, "Who is that beautiful woman in the center? Hubba, hubba."
Really?
Oh, ow.
Call 1-800-CALL-ME. Okay. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Okay. Armistead Maupin, Tales of the City. Who hasn't read it? Who hasn't seen it? If you haven't, you must. It's fabulous. And that series, remember on PBS with Olympia Dukakis and Laura Linney? It's coming back, which is amazing. So he has his memoir, Logical Family. Not biological family, but the logical family that he finds along the way, that he makes on his own. And this is about his, growing up in the South and his journey from being a Southern boy and being in the service to finally ending up in San Francisco, and his journey along the way and everything that has made him who he is, the writer that he is, the characters who he develops through life. So I'm just going really quickly, but there's going to be a documentary about his life, The Untold Tales of Armistead Maupin. But this Netflix series that's coming back, the 10-part installment, Laura Linney, Olympia Dukakis. Armistead is going to be the executive producer. Michael Cunningham, who wrote The Hours, has penned the first script. That's really, really exciting. If you didn't see it the first time around, oh my God, check that out. It is so good. But this is just such a beautiful, beautiful book because it's, and there's a great quote. I just had to read this really quick. Great quote from Neil Gaiman. There's so many quotes, Mary Carr, Neil Gaiman, but Neil Gaiman says, "A book for any of us, gay or straight, who has had to find our family. Maupin is one of America's finest storytellers, and the story of his life is a story as fascinating, as delightful, and as compulsive as any of the tales he has made up for us. He's a lovely man, and you must check out this book. It is funny and tenderhearted and smart, and just, he's a lovely man." Okay. Now I think, should I stop? I think should we stop? Are people leaving?
People are still watching. If you want to do another round, do another round.
Nikki Giovanni is the best thing in the whole wide world, and she has a new book out, and my God, these poems are so amazing because they're all about her life growing old, her relationship with Maya Angelou, sad but so sweet and so kind, and about her students and her gratitude to her students, her gratitude to people who she feels like, I didn't share my thanks with them, and I feel bad about that, and so let me tell you now in my beautiful poems. She also spoke at the American Library Association at the Writers Museum in Chicago, which was so cool. So she did this benefit for the ALA. It was amazing. So this is just absolutely beautiful. And Nikki Giovanni is a treasure, national treasure. Somebody else talk. Okay, I don't know. I keep saying we should stop talking, but now I can't stop talking.
I'll do one more book.
Okay.
You want to do one more?
Let's do one more.
Okay.
For me, I'm going to talk about Wiley Cash, actually.
Oh, good.
And I think his newest one is down here somewhere.
Here, Lovey. Here.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Wiley Cash, this is This Dark Road to Mercy. He also wrote A Land More Kind Than Home. It's a New York Times bestseller. And just all around pretty awesome guy. So his newest one, The Last Ballad, comes out in October. Here it is if you couldn't see it. It's very like textile feeling, which is really cool. And it's appropriate because this follows a young mother in 1929, North Carolina. And she works in a textile mill, and she works like ungodly hours, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day at least. And she's a single mother. She's doing everything she can to support her kids. This is around the time that unions are coming into the national conversation, but they're still very much vilified. You're kind of like a red commie if you even consider it. But she needs something. She needs a change, and she receives a flyer inviting her to a union meeting. And she has to decide, is she going to attend this? And it's going to have far-reaching implications for herself and her family. So it deals with race, social justice, gender, sexuality, all of it, and it's so good. This woman, she's, I almost said a curse word. She's awesome. She's just
What are you
super
gonna say?
cool.
What are you gonna say? Whisper to me.
Bad butt. She's a bad. She's badass. She's
a
awesome.
badass.
She's a badass.
It's cool.
And she's so well
Do
written.
it.
So I'll wash my mouth with soap later. But yeah, so this goes on sale October. Wiley Cash is a librarian favorite, so he needs to be brought up. He's an incredible author. So that's The Last Ballad on sale October. Check it out.
He is phenomenal. If you've never read him, please, please, please do yourselves a favor. Land More Kind Than Home was such an amazing book. He's such a fabulous writer and a heck of a guy, too.
Okay, Amanda, Michael says, let the redhead talk. I
Oh.
imagine he means you.
I was gonna say there's two of us, so we're gonna
Chris
have to
also
fight
has
it
red
out.
hair.
Go, girl.
Okay, I think probably the one that everybody is going to be excited about, and that we are excited about as well, Gregory Maguire. If the name doesn't ring any bells, I know you have heard of Wicked, the Broadway play. It's becoming a movie. I've seen the play like 3 times, and I love it every time, so I'm going to see the movie like 10 times, and it's going to be great. Last year, I believe, he came out with After Alice, which was a retelling of the Alice in Wonderland story. And then this fall, he's coming out with Hinsey, which is another retelling of, this one is the Nutcracker. So it tells the story of the Nutcracker himself, how he came to be imbued with these powers to bring this little girl into a fantastic world. And it also tells the story of the man who carved him. So you know Greg Maguire, you know how awesome he is, and how he always creates these great background stories to these classic tales. So definitely check both of these out. It's awesome.
And we think that's it, right?
Thank you so much. It was a treat to have you live for this episode. Please come back.
Thank you, everyone.
Toodles.
Have a nice weekend.